A judge has ordered 150 Epstein associates to be revealed. See, I think you run and tell it. Go tell on yourself. Okay, why just wait in agony for what comes next? Will I be on the list? For Mediaite, a federal judge ruled on Tuesday that documents containing the identities of over 150 associates of the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, will be unsealed after the new year. Now, don't you want to leave that behind in 2023? I would petition the judge, release it now. It's going to come out, release it now. But no, it'll wait till after the new year. ABC News has the reporting on this. New York Judge Loretta Preska ordered the documents unsealed on January 1, 2024. I love it. This order acts as part of a settled civil lawsuit by Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre. She's on the left, age 17 at the time of the photo, against Epstein's confidante, Ghislaine Maxwell, on the right there, was currently serving a 20-year prison sentence for her own involvement in the sex trafficking scheme. As The Guardian reports, this photo of Virginia, taken on the late evening of March 10th, 2001, came to symbolize Virginia's case against Prince Andrew. The Duke's arm around the 17-year-old's waist as Maxwell stands in the background, grinning, and the man behind the camera, whose reflection is hidden by the flash, one Jeffrey Epstein. More from Mediaite. The date was set for early January, so those who objected to their names being revealed could file their objections. The report says that the names in the documents could include Epstein's victims, co-conspirators, and innocent associates. Try explaining that to your partner. I'll figure out if you're innocent or not. Better tell it all. Any of the named individuals who are minors will remain unidentified. While the news will have everyone following the Epstein case chomping at the bit to know who was doing business with the financier who died in 2019 in prison while waiting his sentence, ABC News provided more detail about what could be contained in the specific documents set to be unsealed. The documents may not make clear why a certain individual became associated with Giuffre's lawsuit, but more than 150 people are expected to be identified in hundreds of files that may expose more about Epstein's sex trafficking of women and girls in New York, New Mexico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and elsewhere. Some of the names may simply have been included in depositions, email, legal documents. ABC News. Epstein and Maxwell worked together for years, targeting, grooming, and luring girls as young as 14 to work in massage parlors and other environments where they were abused and trafficked to others, including allegedly very high-profile individuals. Jeffrey Epstein, we can all agree on something, a monster, right? Who took his own life rather than face the ultimate. I guess for me, though, Jackson, it's perhaps fitting as long as innocents who are already victims, innocents who were just associated in some way, had no knowledge of this, did not partake in this, are not lumped in with the rest. However, I think that there's someone, an entity, perhaps several, that's escaped much scrutiny at all. The authorities who let Epstein off the hook time and time again, enablers. What do you think about the judge's ruling, though? January 1, come on now.
Well, I mean, that's right around the corner. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we get to see some, names that really mean something. But, I have two main points for this. The first one is I think that this is a great example of how any type of organized crime on a large scale has to be allowed. You can't do things like this or, move huge quantities of drugs or, steal large quantities of money unless a lot of people are helping you to do it. And so we absolutely need to see who all else was involved in this, especially given that Jeffrey Epstein, essentially, this is all he did. This is what he was completely dedicated to. So people shouldn't be able to go to their graves with this information. And also, too, I think it's just really indicative of the fact that rich people don't always get away with it. They get away with things a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's very true that it makes it easier for them to get away. But if you cross certain lines, eventually things do come back to bite you. Jeffrey Epstein died in prison. Ghislaine is in prison. There are a lot of people, obviously, who got off the hook. But at the end of the day, justice is around the corner. So I hope that these the names that are revealed are substantive. But overall, Jeffrey Epstein was an absolutely disgusting person.
Yeah, and perhaps I agree with you. It's fitting, right? He's gone. He took the coward's way out, though I would be concerned about the afterlife if you believe in that. But the people who let him do their dirty work and facilitate their desires for underage trafficked girls, okay, now they're left holding the bag. And I do think that that is fitting. Um, how many people do you think will go ahead and take this time, a week or so, a little more, to object to their names coming out? And obviously, that would have to be under seal. We may not ever know unless the judge says, nope, you're staying on the list and it's coming out. But how many people do you think are scrambling and filing under seal their objections?
Probably dozens. I mean, there's got to be dozens of people because again, he did this for decades, and he had the highest profile people on the planet involved in it. The most powerful politicians, literal royalty, the top businessmen, bankers in the country. So I would have no doubt that there's dozens of people doing everything that they can to keep their names free. I mean, I wouldn't do anything like this, but
No.
if I was in a situation like this, I would not want this to get out to the public. But you already
Right.
got names like Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, a lot of these people who spent time with him that we know of.
Yeah.
So I think that information is going to be coming out probably for years on this because it was such a huge thing. It was such a huge ring. And again, this is what Jeffrey Epstein did. Like all that banking stuff and hedge funds, yeah, whatever.
Didn't
This is
excite
what
him.
he did.
Yeah.
This is what he did. So, I'm just curious to see what happens.
Now, you said something a few minutes ago about the larger entity. You can't run a drug trafficking scheme without help, people to help support the organization. And I would add to that, you can't do it unless you have perhaps people, not perhaps, people who are supposed to catch these kinds of thugs assisting, either looking the other way or perhaps tipping you off from the inside. That's just what I believe when you talk about someone who this was his thing and this is what he did. You have to
Yeah.
be supported in a number of ways, payoffs in various forms, that part. But I want to ask you another question because it occurs to me while you would not be part of something like this, nor would I, if your name is on the list and you know whether you're on that list or not, and you have perhaps a family,
Yeah.
you come home and you divulge it, or do you just twiddle your thumbs and hope for the best that maybe your partner's not paying attention to the news, not reading the newspapers? I guess you could hide them, unplug the television. What say you?
I mean, I think it all really boils down to what kind of person you are. You know what I mean? I think that firstly, if you're involved in this type of stuff, there's a lot of negativity in your character. But it depends on if you want to handle it now or you want to handle it later. Do you want to seem, maybe how you want to be seen? Do you want to seem like a man or do you want to seem like a coward? It's hard to answer that question because we're
Yeah,
not really dealing with like rational people here.
true.
So it's really difficult to answer that. My bet would be that they're probably going to scramble and lie. I mean, if you were a stand-up person, I don't know why you'd be like, honey, let's sit down and have a talk.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think that they're going to deny as much as they can because
yeah.
that's what narcissistic people do. When it comes time for accountability, ain't no such thing because they're always running away from being seen.
Oh my goodness, you done hit the nail on the head with that one. But we've seen it before. Remember when Hillary Clinton, he allowed her, the president, her husband allowed her to go on national television. What was it, the Today Show? That's where it started, where she talked about this right wing conspiracy. And by the way, there can be a right wing conspiracy, but he allowed her to go out and defend his honor. I talked to the president, it's not true. And this is just what we've been used to over the years in politics. It's just so nasty. And lo and behold, how did she find out? when it was leaked. Okay. That's how she
Nah,
found out. You know?
maybe, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All
Yeah.
right.
Come on, yeah. She had to have known because now I'm thinking this is kind of off topic, but now I'm thinking of some one of Mitch McConnell's boats or something, or a boat he was connected to got caught with like $2 billion worth of cocaine or something. Again, it's different story, but it's all in line. That's not happening unless somebody's letting it happen. So
Yeah.
whoever was involved with allowing Jeffrey Epstein to do the completely disgusting things that he did, they need to go to prison. I mean,
I agree.
no ifs, ands, or buts. They need to go to prison.
Don't
Even if it's
care.
Bill Gates. It
That's
don't
right.
matter who it is.
Don't care what you're worth. Don't care who you are. You can have several seats and clinkety clink. That once you sit down, I don't know, maybe it's just a concrete bench in there. I don't know. Okay. But you can have several seats and do your time and face public shame. Public shame is a tool that's necessary. And every time I say that, people seem to get upset. Like, it's necessary. And I last said it when those officers got indicted, okay, for the killing of George Floyd. And one was out at supermarket or something. I think he was getting Oreos and something. I just don't remember the images, and people were heckling him. And I posted it and I said, public shame is part of what society does. Okay. You should not do certain things and expect to just walk free among us and be beyond reproach. People have a right to feel a certain kind of way. And I think that that's about to play out here. January 1, was that the date, Jackson?
Yes, January 1 in a couple of weeks. And then just to add to your example of public shame, just look at what's going on with Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just one day later, it's over. It's already over. The trial didn't need to happen. And that's all because of public shame. So,
yeah. We're allowed to make up our mind. Okay. We're allowed to be thought provoking and study things. We're allowed to do that. Okay. Part of being a human being.